How's that? How's it going?
Hey, what is this?
We want a proper videographer, not a camera.
Patsy will be able to see it. Okay? I think perhaps the thing that I'm most struck by on this particular occasion is the paradox of how fruitful your life has been over these 65 years, and yet how young you still seem to me, how much more fruit I expect you to bear. I'm so thankful for your years of faithfulness to our family and to our church. You have tirelessly poured into the spiritual well-being of both, with your prayers, your gifts, and your love. And both of these families of yours have grown tremendously because of this outpouring. I am increasingly aware of the incredible gift God gave me through you as my father and my spiritual leader. You and Mom put me on such sure footing that even when I was making unwise choices in life, your wisdom still safeguarded me from much worse outcomes. And now in establishing a family and ministry of my own, all your wisdom and input comes flooding into our present reality almost daily, it seems. I know Jen feels so blessed by the foundation that you both gave me. I even feel as if my vocation has been blessed through you because our church is made up of people that you poured into for so many years. The spiritual fruit you have produced is multiplying exponentially in this way, whether it's Greg Brazos, Lisa and Daryl Boyd, Dave and Gail Clements, and the list goes on. Those that are pouring into and strengthening me that you poured into and strengthened. All that is so profound and yet such a small fraction of what God has done through your life. Then when I think of the fact that you still seem so young, I get excited about what God may have in store for you. Dad, I'm excited to see how God will use you, how He will expand, broaden, change, and morph your calling in the next few decades. May you continue on in the faithfulness that has guarded you so well all these years. May the call to finish well and the warning of the danger of simply a good beginning be lighthouses for you in this next chapter, so you will truly be one who perseveres to the end. I just finished reading one of the accounts of the early martyrs of the church. I was so struck by their incredible courage and steadfastness in the face of such brutal persecution. As I read, I recalled the stories that you have told about the persecuted church and your heart to pray for them. I know that you've often felt as though you could never have that kind of courage were you to be in their shoes, or at least you've wondered if you would. But Dad, this I know, He will strengthen you with whatever you need so that you can continue to be faithful. As much as you need to persevere through what will come, it's His work to present you faultless before the presence of His glory. He will do it. I love you.
Hey guys.
Guys, careful.
Yeah.
This is what you're missing in India, right here.
Just be careful you don't
Kira,
hurt yourself.
out from there, please.
Here's one.
Camera over there.
Duncan.
Camera over there.
Okay. Dear Sunder, my memories of you go back nearly 20 years to when I first came to Canada. As a new believer, I was at a critical point in my spiritual journey in a new country and starting a new church home. I vaguely recall my first Sunday in Rexdale, seeing this dark preacher in a dark suit behind a dark wooden pulpit. Am I sounding a little bit like Peter? Despite the dark of these first impressions, however, I was captivated by your preaching, and so not only began attending Rexdale's, but soon after sought you out as a mentor. Little did either of us know that just 5 years later I would be asking for your daughter's hand in marriage. In the subsequent 14 years, I've had the privilege of relating to you as pastor, mentor, fellow spiritual pilgrim, fellow board member, father-in-law, and grandfather to our 3 children. While I must admit that in the early years of our acquaintance I placed you on something of a spiritual pedestal, I've since come to see that you indeed have your imperfections, just like the rest of us. Seeing some of these things, however, has not only resulted in a more realistic perspective, but has also enabled me to gain a greater appreciation of your positive traits and the many ways that you have blessed my life. Insofar as my own spiritual journey has involved many questions and doubts, especially in the last several years, you have been a constant source of encouragement and challenge. You've never once belittled my questions or caused me to feel spiritually inferior, but have always been willing to embrace my struggle and have constantly affirmed me in the direction that my life has taken, even when it could easily have been perceived as risky for my faith, family, or career. And throughout this time, I have sensed trust from you that has allowed a valuable freedom in our friendship. Your contribution to my life over this time has been in multiple ways, including your prayers, words of encouragement, conversations around difficult issues, and countless practical helps, especially in your frequent financial generosity toward our family. I've never once sensed an anxious or manipulative spirit in these many expressions, which I think results from your genuine belief that God is at work in my life. This in turn helps me to believe likewise. Beyond the many ways in which you've impacted my life directly, I have also had the privilege of seeing you input positively into the lives of our children, while always respecting our roles and responsibilities as parents. You've been a real grandfather to them. This past week, Sheila and I celebrated 14 years of marriage, and insofar as I have much to be thankful for in who she is as a person, even this is in part owing to the positive home environment that you and Shamala have both provided for her. At the same time, while you have obviously made family relationships a priority, you have never ceased to give yourself to ministry and to fulfill the calling that you believe God has for your life. And in this too, I know many have been richly blessed by your input into their lives. I trust that for all the years that God has left you, He will bless you with the capacity to continue the journey that you've now been on for decades, and to truly finish well, such that you will one day hear the accolade, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." God bless you.